So let's just say that somebody wants to be heard. They've had a shitty day at work and they come home to the partner and they want to be heard. And the partner says, "What's up? Oh, I had a shitty day." That's not her feeling heard. She's using her head and her words to say what the day was. It was a shitty day. So you're saying, say exactly how you feel. And rather than saying exactly how you feel, essentially you're saying is, tell me where you feel it and why you think you feel it. But by getting to that last squeeze of the sponge drop it coming out, that's when they truly feel heard and truly feel open and connected.
Recognizing that you have a vision, but this vision will always expand and it will always grow and it will always change, because actually God has a plan also. There is a divine plan. I will choose how I live, yet I know I'll always be surprised by what's going to come.
But the path is ultimately, I think, already written. You'll always end up where you need to be to attract what you need to attract. The energies will always come back. The water will always find the bottom of the cave.
It's like, it's coming down to being this master of your reality again, because I am in control of what my energy field is doing. If there's an atom and you have all the things flying around it, like that's sending out a frequency so that everything gathers around it. Because I'm meeting men who don't want to have children with me and don't want to be a husband, right? And it's like, what is it inside of me that is creating that? It's like, yes, I have to meet them, but it's to show me something. For me, there is choice. It's a choice of what it is I'm vibrationally sending out.
So over the last couple of weeks, I've been reflecting on life and its meaning. And the more I delve into this, the more I realize that humans have simply had one purpose, which is to breed and then look after the offspring so then the offspring can breed. And as society is changing, we're trying to do other stuff, but also it's encoded in us to breed and bring up the offspring. And what's happening is that we're getting very stressed trying to do one thing when we have something over there which is most important and what humans have always done. And it's causing humans to go inwards and not express how they feel, because you can't cope with what life is presenting us, which then creates more problems when you go inwards. And I'm finding that every human being is essentially thinking and feeling the same thing. If you open up most people, we're all thinking and feeling the same. So it's like, why is nobody talking about a human problem? And it's because vulnerability and pain is so personal that you don't want to feel it ever. And in order to feel it, in order to open up, you've got to feel it at least once. And people don't want to feel pain. Why would you choose to feel pain when you don't have to? And so it's creating this illusion that everyone is happy in life and everything is going to plan as people wish. But actually, if you open people up, you'll find that there is something that they are yearning more deeply, and everyone's exactly the same. And the only way to find that common ground is to open each person up and say, voluntarily, this is what I'm feeling and thinking. What are you feeling and thinking? And you'll find most of the time they're going to be like, yep, I thought it was just me. I'm feeling and thinking the same. And that's it.
Oliver, I want to answer your question.
Okay.
In this moment, right now, what is alive in your body?
That I am planning to move out, and all my intention and energy is going into the field of masculine energy. So right now I'm at home, My mum's the masculine taking charge, and I'm just sort of lingering around and sort of just floating and doing my thing in the space that I have. And when I move out, I'm going to be fully in charge, fully in control, fully independent, fully in my masculine. And I can't wait to just step into my true power. And that's what my energy is about now, getting ready, prepared for that next stage in my life.
If we can go a layer deeper, what are you feeling in your body sensationally right now?
um Eagerness, um like not uncomfortable energy, but like, okay, I've got to get going, like, okay, uh on to the next, like this kind of itch I've got to scratch, or okay, I've got to keep moving, something's up, I've got to keep flowing, I've got to get there. And it could be weeks, but it's like, okay, I've just got to agitated, but in a not a negative way, just a bit like, okay, I've got to fucking get going, basically, like time's running out, even though it's not, but that's what it feels like.
Okay, so when you go back to the itch or the scratch, go into that sensation. That's where I'm trying to get us to go right now because you're talking about being open and vulnerable and feeling our feelings. And it's so easy to logically talk about these things and rationalize and put labels. But what in this moment is happening in your body beyond what you're doing in your life, beyond what you're thinking about? What is there sensation? Maybe it's a feeling of needing to move or like a fastness or like that's what I'm wondering.
It's a feeling of time's running out. It's a feeling of um I'm gonna miss out on something, or what if I don't get it, or what if it doesn't happen in the way that I want it to, or what happens if it doesn't go right. Anxiousness of, okay, I just want to get there, but I can't. I'm here. So it's like, okay, go present, go back into your body again, do what you can do right now, keep working towards it. But it's like a feeling of, I'm going to miss out, and I'm not going to miss out, but it gives me that drive to get there.
What does it feel like in your body to feel like you're missing out? Where is it?
It's probably in my chest, the top part of my
Okay.
chest, above my heart, in between my throat, like my neck. I'd say like my gullet hole, like my throat.
And does it feel wide? Does it feel small? Does it feel constricted? Or
It feels
is
like
there
it's
any?
restricted and going in and just sort of like a little ball in my throat, and I just want to fucking like expand and get it out. Why?
No, because this is like, okay, so there's layers of connection, right? And like the first layer is talking about the weather and statistics and things that are factual. Then the second layer is like talking about maybe what's going on at home, what's going on with your mom, what's going on like with you. And then there's another layer that we don't often drop down into, which is what's alive right here, right now, which is what I'm trying to encourage us to do. Because when I start to feel you and feel your body, like from you describing what's alive for you right now, I can actually connect. And then it also has an impact on me right now, right here,
Okay, so
because
how does
you're
that
in your truth. And yeah, then I can also feel myself too.
so is that the same as when I'm vulnerable, you're vulnerable? Meaning I give you permission to be vulnerable as well because I've opened up, versus people are waiting for the other person to open up first.
Yeah, well, it's also taking it a layer down from, okay, we're just talking about these things that are quite ethereal, which actually makes my head hurt a lot of the time. So to bring us down into another space, it's like, yeah, we're being vulnerable about what's alive here between me and you. And that's often where we don't go. We often don't go there because we're avoiding it because it's scary. It's scary because the truth is asked to be right here. And the truth can be scary sometimes. And yes, it definitely brings like it's vulnerable as fuck, to share how am I actually truly feeling right inside of me right now. Yet also when you express that just now about your throat, I felt more here with you. I feel more present with you. I feel more connected to you already.
Yeah.
So for
So
me, it's about connection.
yeah, so every time you're with somebody, it doesn't matter what's happening next to you. It's just that little bubble that you're creating, that individual whose eyes you're looking in front of. And when they're able to express exactly what they're feeling, and rather than it just being with words, they express how they are feeling with their body. It allows you to open up a portal and connect to their body easier than just connecting to their words of, oh, I can't wait to move out. When they go deeper and they're like, I feel like there's a little ball in my throat trying to escape. And that is me trying to get it out, essentially trying to get there. And you connect deeper with that part.
Yeah, because also it's a felt sensation, and I can really resonate with felt sensation. Yeah, your story might be also resonant in many ways, like what you're saying, but also how you're actually feeling in your body. It also gives me a sense of like, it also gives a sense in any connection around the autonomy that we all hold over our own body. And it gives us that space to really feel like, okay, that's your experience. Let me understand you more. And one of the core desires in our lives is to be understood and to feel connected to other people. So I like to bring that element just for the idea of connection. And also, yeah, it's something different to, we often feel like we need to fix or change or help people when they're going through a difficult experience, or we resonate with them through story. Yet, actually, often what we need is, sorry, my dog is scratching. Um, often what we really want is, yes, someone to understand us, and also to be in on the experience together, because we're already like, we're in a chemistry, there's already stuff happening, there's already lots of information being shared. And for empathic people and people who are sensitive to energy, it's like, it's actually such a relief when you get to drop down into that layer of, okay, because I can sense from you a lot already, and when people actually start to take responsibility for how they're feeling and really go deeper into it, I feel like it gives me um kind of a relief in some way. And yeah, like I said, a connection point. So if there are other sensitive people, empathic people, this could be something that would be really like relieving for you, as it has been for me.
So let's just say that somebody wants to be heard. They've had a shitty day at work and they come home to the partner and they want to be heard. And the partner says, "What's up? Oh, I had a shitty day." That's not her feeling heard. She's using her head and her words to say what the day was. It was a shitty day. So you're saying, say exactly how you feel. And rather than saying exactly how you feel, essentially you're saying is tell me where you feel it and why you think you feel it. And as you go down layers, you're essentially going into the deepest, raw, like individual emotion. For example, my boss didn't take me seriously, and that goes back to my parents not taking me seriously. They've dissected like the shitty day. Why was it a shitty day? The boss was a twat. Why was he a twat? I said, can I have a pay increase? He says no. But you keep breaking it down, and it goes down to the man didn't hear me. Let's say their parent didn't hear them. And that's them truly being heard. And they might not even realize that that is that deep wound. And that saying that makes them really feel heard because they haven't gone deeper and deeper and deeper. Let's say the husband doesn't ask more questions and keep saying, like you did, tell me deeper, tell me why you feel like that. Okay, where do you feel it? Why do you feel it? But by getting to that, call it last squeeze of the sponge droplet coming out, that's when they truly feel heard and truly feel open and connected. And because their partner or the person they're speaking to should truly understand the core belief system of why they had a shitty day, you feel that connection which we're seeking. And essentially, it's just being heard in a way that you feel is the most nourishing. And
Yeah.
it's not the other person
Um,
listening, it's just getting out
Yeah, so
what
I
you're
want
feeling.
to also say that, like, if you're having a shitty day and you just say you have a shitty day, just have a shitty day, It's not like you have to go into all the trauma around why something is so difficult, because when you do use this sort of way of interacting with somebody, it brings you into the feeling center straight away without having to analyze, right? The head. It prevents you from going into the head to analyze why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Look, we're humans. We are here and we're going to feel everything all the time, and we are not getting out of that. So, what it means then is that we need to actually find a way to directly access that place that we're feeling so that energy can move. That's basically it. Like, this is what yoga is teaching. Even when you exercise, it's like basically getting energy to move throughout your body. Because when there's an energy stuck or an emotion stuck, an energy hold, then our life force energy can't go around our body. So we end up, in the long term, we can get sick. This can be the result of illnesses and all of that. Um, yeah, so it's really like an invitation as well to allow blocks in the energy field within myself, within us here. If we're talking about us interacting, it allows blocks to be unblocked and for energy to flow more easily, and therefore we result in feeling more connected and more nourished, like you said, and like we belong because someone understands us. um so on a more somatic level, that's what it's doing. It's actually allowing things to be as they are, not shunning them, not suppressing them, not pushing them away, not pretending, not analyzing, because that's also a trauma response, to over analyze and to over intellectualize everything, when really all we need to do is get to the feeling and allow that feeling to be, give it space, give it love, give it a voice, give it a sound, and then it moves. And that's when we actually begin to heal our nervous system and, yeah, our being.
So what's coming to mind is that um, when we were sat by the water blocks out all the noise in the environment. It was just that sound dominated the environment. That's the only sound that we could hear. Our ears were absorbing that sound of water, and our brain was absorbing that vibration, and our body was becoming that vibration of the water. And that overtook every thought, every feeling. Like our body started to vibrate with that water. And because that water is just pure Earth's resonance, essentially, if you didn't have a shitty day and you were just on a high all the time, well, how would you feel? And it should basically be the same feeling as the water, because that's harmonious with the earth and everything else. Humans have created it through some form. So we don't need to work out why we feel like that, because it's already happened. Like, yeah, you can try and work out so you don't do it again and don't be in situations where you have to feel that shit. Okay. But when it's already happened, working it out's not going to do anything anymore. Just getting it out of your body. I know somebody
Mm,
who goes to a healer in France, and rather than go to a therapist and talk about it, he literally just puts his hand on his body where the energy is, does his magic, and then he basically sucks out the energy. So there's no processing, there's no thoughts, there's no understanding of why your parent abused you. It's just, okay, we know you abused you, now pluck that energy out, and he heals with his hand. So it's what you're
mm,
saying is that after the fact is what's important. Yeah, if you can stop it from happening again, great. But when it's happened, get to the feeling, move the energy. That person will heal with his hand, moving the energy, taking it out. And you can also get to that point of removing the energy by keep asking yourself deeper, 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 deeper questions of why do you feel the way you feel? And then eventually there will be no second question, because that just will be the answer. Like, that's, I feel like this because of this, but why? Because of this, but why? Because of this. Okay, so that's the reason. And then
mm,
the fact that's come to the surface means that you can feel that energy, and by feeling it, you move it around, and then it will disperse from your body, because just by verbalizing that feeling is being released through your words. It's all resonance of the same energy. that energy is a frequency, and your words should technically match that frequency. The same as whatever you hear outside, you can hear in your head. Well, it's got to match. And the power of just finding that, like, that exact frequency, talking it, and then the other person being a witness, and creating that current, that loop, and then that's true healing. So yeah.
And often when we have another person with us, it can actually happen really quickly. Um, I've noticed in my own experience, especially like with partners, for example, like if I have somebody with me witnessing and holding me while I go into something, that it can move really, really quickly, actually. And it's really, really great. And this is why we do need healers and we need therapists. However, I do want to also say that like we also don't need to rely on or depend on other people, and that we can actually move into a space of um, being our own witness and being the one that holds us. Like this is how we go into shadow work, for example. Like there's parts of us there's parts of our bodies, our beings that are not loved, and they're not, yeah, they're just not loved, and they're not in the light. So they're in the dark, they're in the unconscious parts of us. And then we start to behave in certain ways, and some big event might happen where we look at ourselves and we're like, wait, why am I actually doing that? And then that's when we go into our shadow work and we see, oh, there's like little parts of me here that ultimately, this is what the shadows are, just that they aren't loved. They aren't given the space, the time that they need, in space, in the conscious. So they've actually just hidden away. And then, yeah, once you go on your journey and your healing journey, and you go beyond the healing journey into the shadow work of, wow, there's actually parts of me that have been, pushed to the back and I don't see anymore. And it's the same as what we're saying now. We're basically bringing them to the light. Any therapist will bring you through this as well, like to, yeah, look at those parts and ultimately just love them, because that's really when you go deeper down into them, it's what they need and what they want, is just more love.
So shadow work, briefly explain what that is on a core level, because I should know this, but I've forgotten.
Well, I guess it's what I've just explained, but shadow work is when you are becoming this tracker of the internal world of, where are my motives coming from? Where are my behaviors coming from? When I say XYZ, what do I actually mean? And often it can be like, our shadows can be control, manipulation. These are the main two, right? And they're basically parts of us that we have separated ourselves from and become fragmented from. And these parts of us, basically, when we were younger, have got like pushed down, and by ourselves, but also from the external world. Like for me, when I was younger, I really was loud and boisterous and really outspoken, and probably told the truth a lot of the time. And I remember when I did that with my dad, he didn't like that I was like that, because it triggered people and it triggered him. So then it ended up, there was an incident where I was punished for speaking in my truth. And therefore, I've been on this journey of reclaiming that part of me that I pushed into the back, because in my experience as a child, I thought that I would not be loved. I would not be loved for being this truthful truth speaker in a world of liars and people who don't tell the truth. So I've been on this journey of reclaiming that part of me who does tell the truth and is here for truth and will stand up for that. Um, and I guess the way that the shadow gets is made obvious is that it's projected on the outside. So I would see people, maybe also girls, even now I see young girls, who are so outspoken, and children, and they're saying everything they want to say, and it triggers something in me, you know, and I'm like, why does that annoy me? And then that's when you backtrack. That's when you start tracking, like, why would that be triggering me? Because anything that's triggering us is just showing us something. And it can be different things, but if for this example, it's like because that little girl, I'm seeing her now on the outside as an adult, like I'm an adult now, but seeing her doing that thing that I was shunned for or shamed for, um, so then I become like I'm seeing her as bad when really it's just I'm seeing myself as that.
So yeah, so changing a pattern means you've got to confront the devil, for example. So we absorb our traits of our parents, and in order to change so they don't continue, you've got to confront those traits, which will create arguments and confrontation. But in order to get past that and evolve, you have to speak up. You can't just go inwards and be quiet so arguments don't happen, because then you're repeating the cycle. They're in that pattern because, say, they're parents. And by you not saying anything because you want to have a peaceful car journey, you're just continuing that pattern. So, unfortunately, to break the pattern, you always have to speak up, make them aware that this is a pattern that I'm changing because of this pattern that you have. It's not your fault. You follow this pattern from your parents, and that is fine. And get past the you're the problem for creating an argument. Why have you got to create arguments? Keep smashing down that narrative, which is this isn't about arguments being created. I'm saying something, it's triggering you because this obviously affects you in some way. Your parents made you do this, so now I'm following that pattern, and now I'm breaking out of that pattern, and you're not liking it because you're hearing yourself. Making them aware that this is the pattern. We don't have to talk about it anymore all the time, but I am not the problem here. There is no problem. This is just the pattern. Making them aware of that. And just by making them aware of that, the pattern should essentially end, because now they are aware that when the situation comes up again, how I'm going to respond, what happened last time, and they will hopefully divert what they would have said next time to stop this from happening, which is the goal, which is they're aware of a pattern and a trait that triggers a reaction and a response. So not only have I spoken my truth and broken the pattern, they are breaking the pattern by becoming aware of, if I say this, I know how he's going to react in the car. So I'm not going to say this. And just by being aware of that, like the shadow work thing, where you're becoming aware of a certain trait that you would otherwise continue, that's healing. Whether it happens with other people and not you, because they know how you'll respond, and the other person doesn't respond in the way that you do, and it might continue, none of my business. Or it might just be a pattern and a trait that they now are aware of forever because of the reaction and the situation that happened in the car journey. And this is the real life story that happened yesterday. And I honored my truth and I said, this is triggering you because of X, Y, and Z, but it's not me. This is a normal conversation between adults that shouldn't get a reaction like that. And then I explained myself and why it happened. And then we went, okay, Oliver, yep, fine, yep, you're right. Okay, great. That was it. And that is honoring your truth. Expressing the truth, even though you might not get the reaction that you want.
Right. Something that I'm exploring is like having two truths at once. And I feel like this is one of the ultimate like feelings of being alive, is when one thing is true and so is another thing. Do you have any idea? Do you resonate with that at all?
Yeah, so for example, if I speak the truth, then they might not like it and it'll cause an argument. So I'm honoring my truth, but at the same time, I'm also aware of the truth that this only exists because I'm with them in the car right now, and I'm choosing to be in the car right now with them. And if I moved out, I wouldn't be here, which means this world wouldn't exist. And that's the truth. So I can choose to essentially not say this because I know how it's going to go and it's not going to be around forever. It's this moment in time. And I can choose to say it or not. Just like I can choose to honor my truth with someone else, or I can do it now. So that's also a true situation. I know how this situation is going to go. So I can honor my truth, get the outcome, which I know, or I cannot say anything and know that it is true that if I did say what I was going to say, that the outcome I knew was going to happen would happen. So it's this balance of, is it necessary to always be, to express your truth? Or is it just knowing your truth in your head and the two paths of, if I say this, this is going to happen. And if I don't say this, this happens. Is that enough that you don't have to express it out loud? Because you know your outcome, which is they're going to respond like this, and then you're going to get nowhere. But I expressed my truth, so I'm honoring myself. But then, you know, does that answer
it? Well, I guess like, yeah. Can we pause for a sec?
what, as in the whole podcast? I've never done this in my life. You actually want me to pause it or stop it?
You know, just like don't have this part in.
Well, I'm gonna have to stop
No.
it because I'm
Okay, okay. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Let's
okay.
just keep going. Let's
Okay.
go. Okay.
What's coming to your mind?
Well, I really want to give a personal example of this. Okay, so I'll give a personal example, but it won't be super vulnerable. So for example, right, this is something that I'm playing with and understanding within like my community of women at the moment is when two truths are alive at once. For example, I really want to connect deeply with this person who doesn't want the same thing as me in the future. And it's like, can I hold both of these truths at once? You know, the one that our futures don't align and we're not aligned or compatible to be together. And the truth of, I really want to connect with them and I really want to explore a connection. So this is, I guess, yeah, where this feeling of it feels like it makes me feel really alive, actually. And I feel that um, so often we're trying to look for one thing that's true, and it's like that's not actually real life. You know, real life, there's so many different truths. And yeah, I just want to name that. I don't even, I'm on this exploration already of like holding, you know, two things that are so true that are like it's almost painful, yet also really like, yeah, and there's so many other things you can apply this to, you know, in the world. Like there's it's like really big. But I think as humans, like what we're really needing to do is understand that many things can be true at once. And how do we hold that? You know, what do we do with that?
So that actually goes back to what I said at the beginning, what I started off with, which is humans want this life, traveling, eating out, having a house, wanting to have a house by the countryside. And then they also want this other deeply ingrained thing in us, which is breeding and providing for kids. But you can't put your energy into your kids if you're on the beach traveling. You've got to give your kids 100% of the energy. But our brains are like, well, no, I want to be traveling. And then the encoded brain's like, no, you got to give this child everything that it needs, because if it doesn't, it will die. So that's the paradigm of, there's two truths. You should honor your truth and travel and do what you want. But the reality is that it's encoded in us to provide for that offspring that needs food. So quantum physics, it could be that, particle wave, or both, right? Another thing is that we have this life right now, which is what we as humans and physical people want in this life right now. We've also got past lives and energetic karma. So you've got energies of just taking away the body, energies doing what they need to do to balance out each other, coming into contact with each other, taking the energies that we need, filling the voids that we need filling in terms of energy, completely irrelevant to the physical people and purpose in this life. So somebody might want this over here with this, but the energy says that you've come together for another reason that only energy understands, that humans will never understand. So that's another example of, I want this, which is true, but also this is also true over here, which is these energies have to absorb and become one in order to divide and continue elsewhere. But on the physical level and the physical world, this doesn't align, because this person could be in America and this other person could be in Australia. But the energy says, because of past lives, that there is unresolved karma that needs to be entangled in order to get out what you need. But one lives in Australia, one lives in America. You need a plane. You've not got any money to get on the plane. So that is a perfect example of two truths, both real, but both kind of contradicts each other, which is, again, a very fucked up part of life, because we're not just physical people like we think. We are spiritual beings in a physical body, just continuing many years of physical existence and just rolling it over.
I feel like it gives me this like fear, you know, there's always this fear that comes with that. It's like making the choice, you know, and choosing your path and choosing your own destiny. It's like, even looking back, you know, to my teenage years, it's like I'll never have the chance of being a prom queen, right? I'll never have the chance of being a cheerleader on the cheer squad, because that wasn't a thing in Ireland, you know, that wasn't a thing in my in school. And it's like it's like this weight. I feel this weight of responsibility of like, what are you going to do with this one true life that you've been given? And it's, oh my God, it's so much. And it really has also made me like kind of not take the responsibility and not choose because of the fear of making the wrong choice, or you know, going down the wrong path. And then you come back to the trust, you know, then there's that side as well. It's like, no, no, but everything is meant to be as it is. Um, yeah, so it's about choice, I feel like. It's about choosing for yourself. How do you wish to spend your energy in your life? But then also ultimately recognizing that you have a vision, but this vision will always expand and it will always grow and it will always change, because actually God has has a plan also. There is a divine plan. So yeah,
Yeah, so what's
I
coming to me
like
is that, gone.
I like to be surprised, right? I like to be surprised. I like living in that way. Actually, I've chosen to live in that way of like, I will choose how I live, yet I know I'll always be surprised by what's going to come.
So
Because maybe of that karma that you speak of. Yeah.
yeah, so what's coming to me is that you've got water going into a cave, and there is 50 different cracks leading to the bottom of the cave where the water can go. And you can choose what crack you take to get to the bottom. I do believe that whatever decision you don't make and do make is the right one. It's almost like you keep flicking a light on until you get the light on, right? You keep doing something until it feels like it's the right decision. 5 seconds later, 5 minutes later, it could change. And that feeling might be turn the light off, and that feels right. Almost like, oh, I want to turn the radio up. Oh, fuck me, it's too loud. I want to turn it down now. I'll just turn up a little bit more. Everything's constantly changing. And yeah, everything is a choice. But everything that we do is the right decision. even if we think it is the wrong decision. It's almost like the outcome is already written. We are just the people deciding. We're not controlling the outcome. We're also not in control of the different steps towards the outcome. We are just the steps, basically. Like, we're just the steps. We're acting on the path that's already laid out energetically. Like, if we're meant to attract somebody all the way over there, then we'll think about going to the toilet at that time to come out at the time where we see somebody eating pizza, which makes us think of pizza. So then we go and get a pizza, and then that person's in the queue. That was already laid out energetically. The person there with the pizza was meant to be there. So we come out the toilet at that time to think about the pizza. And then we ultimately meet the person in the queue, right? That's energy eventually finding its way back, like the water going down the cave cracks. It eventually will get to the bottom, but whether it went left, right, the crack over there, the crack there, that is essentially our choice. You know, we can choose to become aware that, oh, I've just gone into the toilet and I didn't really need to go to the toilet. What does that mean? Oh, it probably means that I'm going to come out and something's going to happen, which leads to that. There are choices whether or not we choose to go to the toilet or not. But the ultimate ending is that we're going to end up in the pizza queue. It's just whether we go into the toilet and then come out and he's there, or we hear it on the radio and then go to the pizza queue. We are the steps. But the path is ultimately, I think, already written. You'll always end up where you need to be to attract what you need to attract. The energies will always come back. The water will always find the bottom of the cave.
It's a very interesting thing to talk about, because also something that I'm really learning about at the moment and using in my own life is magnetism. And it feels like that's in the realm of quantum jumping and quantum leaping. So moving from one reality to another. Um, and yeah, what I'm exploring is, okay, it's basically coming down to choice, right? And it's like, okay, something has come into my reality, but it's not quite right. So what am I going to do? I will get mad, or I'll get sad, and I can have my emotional process with that, or try to blame the outside world. But really, when I'm taking responsibility for all of that I am attracting, it's like, okay, what do I need to refine within my own energetic field to magnetize towards me? And then you start to become, this is something a lot of women would know about in womb work as well. Like, this is basically like what they're teaching, is that the womb is the opening and the portal to life, and that all of life comes from there. So within my journey, I've been doing womb healing and womb clearing, and um, basically what as I was speaking about earlier, the unconscious. So when the unconscious is illuminated, then we get to see what we're creating, right? And then we become ultimate masters of our reality and responsible for what we're calling in. And there is the manifestation world, but there's also the magnetism, and this is within the tantric space of calling in, calling forth, calling to you what is truly meant to be to you. So really, you're not going out to get it, you're not going out to grab anything, but you are, first of all, it's really important to clear your womb space, because this is where all of life is being created from, right? It's like the darkness of the womb, the seed is planted in there, and that's where life comes from. So currently what I am exploring is how to clear that out, especially from past lovers and also traumas. Like, all of that gets stored in there, and then to actually magnetize towards me. So I'm not really doing anything in the external, but sitting and bringing things to me that are attracted, like that are on the same vibration as me. And this also ties in with what we were saying before of a vibrational match. It's like, if I want something in a certain way, then I'm going to become a vibrational match to that thing. If I've attracted something to me that does not align with actually what I truly want, there is a space for inner work to be done there in terms of yeah, refining again what you truly want and magnetizing that out from the body and from your field.
Yeah, for example, I always kept attracting people on dating sites who live with their parents. And I'm like, why the fuck do I keep attracting these people living with their parents? I want somebody who doesn't live with their parents because I do. And I can go around there. And I'm like, well, the universe is saying that you're going to attract yourself because someone will only accept that if they are in that position. Someone who doesn't want somebody who has their independence, doesn't want to go back to someone's house living with their parents. So I'm like, right, well, I've got to move out in order to attract somebody on that frequency. Like I suddenly became aware that my wisdom is what's needed to manifest what I really want, as in the action needs to happen on the wisdom that I already know and have always known. But then the timing again is perfectly timed. Knowing something, putting out the order, and knowing it will come when it's supposed to is the goal here, or the crucial part of how the universe works. Like, don't put a timing on when you want the order to come. Just place the order. When it's meant to come, it will come. Like, you can know the wisdom and know that. Doesn't mean you've got to take action immediately, because things might have to happen before the action is taken. Like, you can't just leave your house in the middle of the night, like, without getting a jumper or getting your keys. Like, there is some action taken where you need to think, okay, I need my keys, I need my jumper, I need a torch, I need a light. Then I can go. So knowing that and then taking action when it's right versus just taking action now because you become aware. Timing. Like, I do believe the universe works in perfect timing, like planets orbiting exactly as they say. Like, Saturn last orbited Earth 30 years ago. Everything's timed. You can measure time with all energy, which basically means you operate the same as planets. You can time when someone's going to attract back round. So if you go into past lives and look at when someone died and the age of when someone died and the age of somebody when you attract them again in the next life, the dates always match up. The age matches up. The dates match up. You know when someone's going to come back around from a past life because the numbers and the dates always add up. So what does that say? Basically, you will always attract who you are going to attract, whether you like it or not, when the timing is right. Whether you come out the toilet and meet somebody who's got a pizza and then you go to the pizza shop, or you sit in your car, hear the advert on the radio mentioning pizza, and you go to the pizza shop. The end destination is always going to happen,
That we're
whether we
going to
like it or
die.
not. Huh?
The end destination is that we're going to die.
Yeah, but like how we get there, it is already like mapped out. So like if you were to
So
look
where
at
does free
Wi-Fi,
will come in?
free will comes in where we think that we are making the decisions based on our own choice, but actually, like Wi-Fi and 3G, if you could see where the 3G frequencies are, you'd realize that you think you're being guided over there because it's my choice, but actually there's a magnetic energy there. There's a Wi-Fi signal there that's guiding you there. It's almost like if you are in a huge building and you want to find a member of staff to help you out, well, you're just going to walk around the shop and eventually you'll be guided to the staff member. Well, energetically, you kind of know they're there. It's just whether you go up aisle 4, back down aisle 9, you're going to get there. It's not free will. I don't think we have free will. I think we do. But when we realize all our thoughts are a mixture of other people's and our own, which is a mixture of past lives and everyone's thoughts in one atmosphere, none of it's free will. No thoughts are our own. Our decisions aren't our own. Like if you choose to go leave your shop, leave your house now to go to the shop and you go left rather than right, that's not your choice, because if you meet somebody afterwards and be like, oh my God, I was going to go post office first on the left, but you didn't. You went right. So why did you go right instead of going left where you should have gone? Wasn't your choice. Energetically, that person was there who you thought about, who you were supposed to meet, meant to meet, already thought about meeting. You already created that magnet connection, which
Yeah,
means you have
so
no
go
choice.
back to that. Like you create that connection. So It's like, it's coming down to being this master of your reality again, because I am in control of what my energy field is doing. If there's an atom and you have all the things flying around it, like that's sending out a frequency so that everything gathers around it. So what I'm kind of, yeah, what I'm exploring now is like, how can I actually become more refined? Because I'm meeting men who don't want to have children with me and don't want to be a husband, right? And it's like, what is it inside of me that is creating that? Because I'm magnetizing those types of people who are unavailable to me. So it's like, yes, I have to meet them, but it's to show me something. So I think this
Yeah.
is the point where you become really, yeah, really creative and really in your own power of like, okay, this is what I'm creating, and now how can I come back? So for me, there is choice. It's a choice of how, what it is I'm vibrationally sending out.
Yeah.
And I also know that what you're saying is true, and we have two truths that I feel like are very true. And when you're on this quest of life, it's like all of these things are true at once. And
Yeah.
I don't, as a seeker, I would really like to find the answer, yet I don't think I'm ever going to find that answer. I feel like I've had to make peace with that, actually, that I can't always seek, and that maybe everything is just as it is. It's perfect as it is.
Yeah. So if you take away like the physical body and just think we're just energy, well, again, if you could see all the energies of Wi-Fi and 3G, you'd see that they're all connected and data is being transferred from one end to the other. Take away our body and you've just got our energies, and each person's thinking, which is a frequency, and all the other persons are thinking, which is a frequency. Those frequencies already connected. So now when you leave the house, you choose to go there versus over there, or there's already a frequency that's connected to you that you can't even see. But if you saw under a data lamp, you'd see that that path going left is already there because your thoughts are connected to somebody down that path. So you're never going to go right. Hence why like Darren Brown and David Blaine and Dynamo, all these magicians know what you're going to say. They've already planted that code. They've already put out
Mm.
there, you're going to choose 7, you're going to choose to wear blue top with a red dress. So when she's in a wardrobe, she puts a blue top on and a red dress. It's, you only control the energy. You can't control the energy. Like she thinks it's a free choice. No, it's not a free choice. She
But
put on
that's
that
kind
dress
of
because
like
he,
black magic, what you're talking about.
yeah, like she put
That's
on that dress.
imposing yourself in somebody else's will.
Yeah, I suppose that is actually different to just, yeah, that is different. Yes, you can control, you can choose to manipulate the field, or
Hmm.
you can understand that the field is already um set up based on previous thoughts that we may not even realize we're thinking, versus choosing to change the field moving forward. So it's like, oh, I want to meet somebody who's offering a job, then you go right, somebody down there's offering a job, versus, oh, I want Julie to say we're going to go to an Indian restaurant tonight, and then Julie goes, "I'm thinking about going to an Indian restaurant." You're right, that is different. Oh, Julie, I love Indian.
Julie. um, yeah, well, this is a really important point, I feel like, because there is a certain amount, there is manipulation that you're doing of the field. Well, but I think the best way to do that, or the more like aligned and conscious way, is to be in awareness that you're doing it, but
Yeah,
also not to make somebody do something for you. Or it's like with other people, it's different. It's different for me to say, I want to attract a partner who wants XYZ and looks like ABC, and then to actually be like, the guy next door is so hot. I'm going to make him come to me and want me. That's really different. That's really different. And I feel like that's what you're kind of saying, like with these magicians. Like that for me is like black magic, actually. And I mean, is everybody doing that anyway? I feel like there is. I feel like I'm in these witch circles, and people are doing spells on other people, like for real, like spells, you know? And I feel like I've kind of, maybe I'm naive to think that people aren't doing that. But even you're talking about it now, and it's just so obvious. Like, yeah, that's what people are doing this. People are manipulating other people and changing reality for their own good, you know, for a very self-serving reason and purpose, not for humanity, but for themselves. You know, if someone really, really, really hurt you, what is the likelihood that you would think of, I want to do a spell, or I want to send bad energy to them, I want something bad to happen to them? How many times are we doing that in our day?
Yep.
You're in
And even just
traffic.
once creates it.
You're in traffic and you're saying, you fucking asshole, I hope you crash.
Yeah.
I swear I don't say that, everyone.
Right. Let's end that there. Anything you want to promote or plug?
If there's any sugar daddies watching this, please send me money. I receive gifts, I accept gifts and money and all of that. So you can find me at Instagram, on Instagram at Venusian Magic, Venusian_magic. And my name is Dana, and I do tantric massage. And I have a beautiful space here in Ireland where there will be many things happening over the next few months.
And if you'd one day left to live, what's the last thing that you'd say to the rest of the world?
Tell people you love them.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe, turn the bell notifications on, like the episode, and comment below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's YesKingOliver. Take a look at the other videos to your side. And if you just want to listen to this podcast, you can do so on Apple and Spotify and most other platforms by going to talkwitholiver.com.